So, are the rumors true? Are we really going to be rid of motorsport games and finally get some good NASCAR games coming down the way? We'll see. Obviously, it's all rumor and speculation. As you have probably heard, Mike Straw has said on his channel or on Twitter, or there's been lots of people saying it, but it's came from him that the motorsport games exclusive deal with NASCAR is ending, whether that be it's being terminated or whatever legal stuff. Nobody really knows exactly for sure, but the rumor is that it's over. And he said other NASCAR games will be in development. Now, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean we are going to have two different companies working on NASCAR games? Does that mean we're going to have one company working on multiple NASCAR games? Who knows? There are a lot of different things that could happen here, and I'd like to talk a little bit about some potential things. I've kind of already made a video on what this announcement could be, but now that we're kind of aware of what the announcement is, let's talk about what we could be getting. Obviously, I don't think we're getting a NASCAR game this year, aside from NASCAR Arcade Rush, and that's fine. It looks like a perfectly fine arcade game, which I've talked about, but who knows after that. The most likely scenario, we've all thought this, and I've said it in my own videos, is that iRacing and Monster Games are going to get access to the license. I doubt that they buy it out exclusively. NASCAR and iRacing and Monster Games have a really good relationship, and I think it's almost more than certain that they are going to be at least attempting to make a game. They had put on Twitter last year, Dale Jr. and Steve Myers, about potentially bringing back Dirt to Daytona and if there would be a fan base for that, which would be absolutely amazing. But let's see, NASCAR Heat 4 and even 3 really were essentially Dirt to Daytona because they had the Extreme Dirt Tour Trucks Xfinity Cup. They just didn't market it or brand it as Dirt to Daytona. But I think if they really pushed into that and they remade the cover with the different colors and put current drivers and cars in there, that it would be great. I'm not saying that they need to take NASCAR Heat 4 and just do that again. I think with iRacing's help, they could definitely make a much better game than NASCAR Heat 4. NASCAR Heat 4 was fine, but for me personally, by the time we had got to NASCAR Heat 4, it was a little tired. The games kind of felt the same. I know the graphics looked a lot better on NASCAR Heat 4, but for me personally, I didn't feel like there was enough change year over year. The games gradually got better. I will not disagree with that, and I enjoyed those games, but I don't want them to get the license back just to do the same thing again. I think Monster Games has grown a hell of a lot from NASCAR Heat 4 with the Tony Stewart games, the SRX game, and now the World of Outlaws. And them being purchased by iRacing has given them just a Pandora's box of things and help that they could really use. And you see that with the World of Outlaws game and how good that is. I believe that game still runs on the Unity engine, but it is so good. It is so much better than the Tony Stewart games and the SRX game even that they came out with. And I think with iRacing's help, they have the scans for everything. If they could just get off the Unity engine and find another way to another engine to just put their game on, and I understand that it's probably expensive and they do Unity because it's cheap and easy. If they could just get it on a better engine, I think we could be seeing something incredible. iRacing obviously has been around a long time. They made NR 2003, and iRacing is working on its own career mode right now. And I feel like if they did come out with a game, it would be like the World of Outlaws game, and it probably wouldn't be on PC because they wouldn't want to compete with themselves. I think that's a bad idea, but I understand. I feel like with consoles, you're limiting yourself. Even with the PS5 and Xbox Series X, the power that they have on the NASCAR Ignition, even on PS5, it still didn't look perfect. It looks a lot better on my PC. I hope they don't lock themselves in to just consoles, but we'll see. But he mentioned that it was multiple games. Does that mean we're getting 2 simulation games? Does that mean we're getting a simulation and an arcade game? Honestly, I don't know what I would prefer. I would prefer 2 simulation games and an arcade game. But who would be making it? Would it be? I don't think iRacing and Monster Games would make a arcade game. That doesn't make sense to me. Could it be Game Mill? I mean, they already have their arcade game with NASCAR Arcade Rush. I don't know. I would love another NASCAR Rumble or NASCAR Unleashed, which is kind of what NASCAR Arcade Rush looked like, but I would like it with real drivers and real teams and real cars. If they could just somehow make a copy of NASCAR Rumble and just shove it out there, I would be more than happy. But who knows? Who would do this? I don't know. Could EA possibly get back in the game? Possibly. But I personally feel like they wouldn't. I don't feel like there's enough money in it for EA. This game is probably not going to sell, whatever it is, or whatever game they make, it's probably not going to sell over 1 million units. This is not the heyday of NASCAR, and this is not the heyday of EA Sports or back when they were making games. And NASCAR, let's be honest, is not as popular as it used to be back in the day. It could probably sell 1 million units if it was good, promoted right, marketed right, but I feel like that's a stretch. And the amount of money you're going to put into one of these games, it just depends. With a small studio like Monster and iRacing, they could probably push one of these games out for relatively cheap because they already have the assets. With a company like EA Sports, you're going to have to remake everything. So it's hard. I don't know. I don't know about 2K either. I feel like they're in the same boat as EA. They're going to have to start from scratch on a NASCAR game, and that's asking a lot of time, development, and money. And hiring more people to work on it. And EA does have Codemasters, but they're working on F1 and whatever the next dirt game is. And I don't think they're working on Need for Speed, but who knows? And there's a lot of people stretched thin over there. I just don't feel like that's possible. Could another game company come out of nowhere and make a game like Technics did with Activision back in the day? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, we're in a new world of NASCAR licensed games if this happens. I hope that NASCAR doesn't go back to the exclusivity license and give it to exclusively one company, even if that is Monster and iRacing. I feel like that's just the wrong move. You need to be able to let companies make games and compete with each other to give you the best game possible. And what's wrong with having more than one NASCAR game on the shelf? We don't really have that in any other sports game right now. Baseball is MLB The Show. I mean, you had RBI baseball, but you have some arcade baseball games that are really good, but that's different, like out of the park baseball as well. Like they're just not the same. They're not the same style of game. NBA, you had NBA Live that tried to compete with NBA 2K, but that's not a thing anymore. NBA Live was just bad and they weren't doing well. NFL, Madden has an exclusive license. You see other companies like 2K getting into the arcade style of it, but I don't think that game's even been shown off yet. Hockey, I think, is just EA. Soccer, I think, do they still make PES? I'm not sure. But there's not a lot of competition between sports games right now. If for some reason NASCAR gets 2 companies competing to make NASCAR games, that's a win-win. Like, I see it as nothing but good for NASCAR, but that's a tough ask in this day and age. But who knows? This is absolutely wild. I don't know what exactly is going to happen. I have heard, even before the Mike Straw thing, that the motorsport games thing was over. So we'll see what happens whenever this so-called date of truth comes around, but we'll see. But right now, I'd say about a month or 2 ago, we were looking at the worst state of NASCAR gaming ever, and now we could be on the other side of that. This could be one of the great states of NASCAR gaming because we don't know what's going to happen, and we have optimism, you know. they've already said that other companies are basically ready to go, and or at least another company for games are ready to go and make NASCAR games, and that's exciting and that's good, and it's honestly what we need as a fan base of a game. NASCAR is only as good as the video game it has coming out. And because a lot of kids, myself included, really got into NASCAR because of the games, and that they really need something like that. As much as I love iRacing, I understand it's not for everyone. It's expensive. It takes a lot of money to get into, and I was lucky enough to start that over 10 years ago and build my way up to where I am now. And I love iRacing, but for some people, especially children, it's just not feasible. And we need a good NASCAR console game. So fingers crossed. We'll wait for more news. Of course, that September date that they're talking about, whatever that is, it's exciting, and we'll see what happens. So guys, thank you. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. There's also membership options down below if you feel like you'd like to help me out financially. Please don't feel obligated, but we will see you next time. Goodbye.